Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode number 258 of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media. And I finally tracked this guy down. He's a great player. He's a great communicator. He's great everything. That would be from your Central Division champion, Milwaukee Brewers, Rhys Hoskins. Hello, Rhys. How are you?
Great, Rosie, man. Thanks for having me on. Been watching the show. Maybe not all 256, but been watching you for a while now, and happy to be on. Happy to join the rotation.
I appreciate that. I saw you had a cup of Joe. What do we got? Because I got an iced coffee. My wife is nice enough to make me an iced coffee right now on the way. So what do you have in your cup? Let's go.
I just have a little latte. I have an espresso machine at home that me and my wife use way too much, and a little honey in it, just for a little sweetener. So that's kind of the go-to here in our house.
Okay, not bad, because Plouffe, when I do the other podcast I do with him, Baseball Today, he's like a strictly black coffee guy.
Yeah, it's like fake tough, kind of,
Yes!
I like it. I'm all for a nice, hot, black cup of coffee, but I don't know, a little flavor here and there doesn't hurt anybody.
That way, you don't have to just be the tough guy all the time. You can show that sensual side, too, if you need to.
Got to let Plouffe know about that.
Oh, yeah, we will. We will. So I'm wearing a Burlington sock puppets hat. I've got a great collection of minor league lids.
Yeah.
What was the best minor league team you played for where you were like, that's the hat I want to, wear wherever?
I play for the Iron Pigs, AAA with the Phillies. And I have a hat that's just got a strip of bacon on it. So I think that one's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think the year that I was there also, I'm not remembering exactly the name that we used, but I have a hat with a taco on it. We just had like a specialty jersey.
Yep.
I don't know. The minor league hat, I mean, as you're wearing the sock puppets, we got the trash pandas, all sorts of different types of things. I wouldn't hate if the big leagues did some of those types of things. Mm-hmm. I know like they're trying with some of the BP hats or the spring training. But those like one-off types of things I think are really cool for the game. And I'm a hat guy. I love a good hat. So
yeah, I like the Brewers. If I were home right now, I'm off visiting our youngest son at college. It's already parents' weekend, believe it or not. If I were home, I would show you. I've got the strip of bacon one. I've got, obviously the Brewers BP hat, which is pretty good. I got to admit, pretty solid, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good one. Yeah. They need to bring the logo back, in my opinion. I've only been here for a year, but it's a great logo.
It is. It is. All right, so I want to dive into some of this stuff. You guys are locked into the 3 seed as we talk. This is on Friday, but you're going to have a hand in how this is going to play out in the National League wild card because you play the Mets. For a guy who missed an entire season, how emotional was it for you to pop champagne again?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I got to miss out on 23. Them doing that. I got to be at the celebration as the Phils advanced past the wild card round, and then I was off down to Florida just to try to do what I could to rejoin that team at some point. So I missed a lot of the other celebrations, but it's nice to have a hand in it. Feel like you were a part of something that's a little bit bigger than yourself. Obviously, we've been going at this thing since the middle of February, so just to have that moment with the guys you've been grinding with for 6-7 months, maybe a little bit more effort this year on my end, just from like a physical standpoint, trying to get ready to play every day, but also just like trying to get to know my new teammates and making that celebration all the worthwhile at the end. So yeah, really, really sweet. I missed it. I know it had only been a couple of years, but having a chance to play in the tournament at the end of the year is why we play this game. So to get that burn in the champagne a little bit, or burn in the eyes from the champagne was, yeah, something I missed for sure.
One thing we do on this show is focus a lot on how you get past the failures of this sport, because that's what it's predicated on. That's the reason you guys make it and other guys don't, is how you deal with that. So I'm curious, because I have a bunch of guys that are regulars on this show. Tyler Glasnow, Lucas Giolito. I mean, these are guys that spent a year away from their team, and they talked about how dark it can be. How tough was it for you when you were away?
Yeah, a year is a long time. I think especially as a ball player, growing up, especially with the prevalence of travel baseball, I know it's much more than it used to be as I was growing up, but I don't know if I could tell you, Rosie, the last time I went 8 months without playing in a baseball game, really, just because I played year round growing up. You get into high school, into college baseball, and the intensity just continues to ratchet up. And then obviously professional baseball is a year round thing, right? Like we're not playing in the off season, but it doesn't stop once the game stops. So yeah, it's you obviously you're so hyper aware of your injury and what's going on with your body. You're being asked about it every single day. But just like not competing, I found myself trying to either compete with myself or, make little competitions about throwing trash away in the trash can. Like that type of thing can help a little bit. But you spend a lot of time in the training room. You spend a lot of time away from the team, kind of on your own, because you don't want to be in the way of what the organization and the guys are trying to accomplish long term. So, yeah, not fun for sure. You learn a lot, and I'm hopeful that at the end of my career, I'll be able to look back on that year and say it made me better somehow, some way, whether it was on the field or off the field. But I'm just happy to be back around the guys on a daily basis, back in the grind, so to say, right? Like trying to figure out how to get past some failures again, and ended up back in the playoffs. So
It's
pretty
awesome.
good full circle moment there.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's not easy, but I think it's important for people to understand when you're not on our TVs for 3 hours every day to kind of know what you're going through. And I'm always curious how you do, like who you leaned on. I know you're married.
Yeah.
Imagine that you found out a lot about your wife and her strength that you didn't know before your injury, right?
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, I mean, your support system at home, whoever that is or however that comes, obviously played a huge part in just like the day to day, right? Like she's seeing some of the struggle that not everybody else gets to see. I was non-weight bearing on my leg for 8 straight weeks. So hobbling around the house, trying to figure out how to carry a water, that type of thing, was something that was new for me. But also just like the people at the stadium, I was lucky that the Phils, brought me along. I got to travel with the team at the later portion of my rehab. I got to do a lot of my rehab at the stadium. So a lot of that was familiar, which I think was a good thing. Kind of gave you some structure around a schedule that you're not used to at all. The training staff, obviously you're spending hours and hours and hours with them. But also like I cherish the time that I got to spend in the dugout with the guys. Although seeing the game through a different lens, like just getting to watch guys in a different way, out on the field, in the dugout, in the box is something that I never really had a chance to do. So leaning on those guys a lot too, just like help me stay intact with the game, challenge myself, at least from a mental rep standpoint about what was going on in the field. And that just seemed to help a lot.
All right, more Rhys Hoskins coming up in just a bit, but you know what we all need more of? To get off our ass. That's right, with bold flavors and refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew will get you off your ass. Have you feeling like you're on actual mountain? A mountain where the weather is always perfect, your friends are ready to hang, and a day of epic proportions awaits. I don't care what you do when you slide open that glass door and head out into the great outdoors. Go play some ball. Go be competitive. Maybe you have a longest drive competition, a free throw competition, furthest pass that you can do, furthest ball hit. Doesn't matter. Go play some frisbee golf. Go play some kickball. Go play some wiffle ball. Go play some pickleball. Go play any kind of ball that you want to. Why? Because the mountain is calling and you should answer. So grab your friends, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold. And I got 3 words for you. Do the do. Philly and Milwaukee can be two totally different experiences. Philly, they are on your ass from the word go. Milwaukee's a lot like my hometown. Very welcoming, very loving, very appreciative. Not that they aren't in Philly, it's just a
Of
different
course.
world. How do you explain to people who have lived in neither city the difference?
I think when I think about Philly, I think being in the Northeast is something that's a factor in their fandom. You're a little bit more on top of each other. Everyone's got to fight a little bit more for themselves. Maybe you're in a little bit more of a hurry, just like to go about your day to day. So I think that contributes to some of the fandom in Philly. They love to love you, and when they do love you, it is an amazing place to play. Can't go anywhere without, hey, go Phils, hey, nice job last night, that type of thing. Obviously, the stadium and the atmosphere at the stadium speaks for itself. We've gotten a chance to really like recapture, the so to say golden days there when it was Utley and Howard and Rollins. But they also love to hate you. And I think that's something that's really, really unique about that city is that the accountability factor, there's a standard there that they expect. And obviously the desire to win kind of at the root of all of that. So it's an interesting dynamic because there's always a lot of emotion going on, which is incredible to play for as a fan. And in Milwaukee, it's really, really great when we're winning. But they're also, the people are most likely just like happy to be there and happy to support. We've done a lot of winning, so there's been a lot of that. But, it might be, hey, let's get them next time instead of, I cannot believe we did that. We got to fix that type of thing. So different fan bases to play for. Each have their great things about them. I've really enjoyed just like I've never spent a lot of time in the Midwest, and just like how genuine people are to you, straight to your face, is something that is easy to be around and it's easy to play for too. I've had a great time playing for the city of Milwaukee.
Now, I know they've loved you and appreciated your leadership that you've brought to a very young squad. And my guess is that not once during a home game you've had to turn around and go, shut the fuck up, which I imagine was almost a daily occurrence in Philly.
Yeah. And, kids, parents, all of the, like, it didn't really matter. But that provides an edge there in Philly. And, yeah, we don't get a ton of that in Milwaukee. It's a lot of support, which, we love that too. But
hold on, you had kids motherfucking you in Philly?
Well, it depended how many days in a row I had gone without a hit, maybe, or how many games we had lost in a row. But it didn't seem like anything was off limits in Philly, which to each their own.
Could you hear them?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think especially if it was a voice that was maybe a little bit more abnormal, so a kid's voice might stick out a little bit more. But all in good fun, and it's gotten, that's an atmosphere that you hate to play in as an opponent, and you love to play in as a home player.
How often do fans stop you and talk to you about the home run off of Strider?
A lot of people, have a comment or a good memory about that home run, about the bat spike, about that reaction. I got a lot in Philly for sure when I was there of just, random fans, or I got to go to the coffee shop that I went there for years and got a couple comments there about it, and about that whole run. Not so much so here in Milwaukee, but I know that the people here are hopeful for a second round of that. So we will see, obviously, what happens here come playoff time. I've always said that those moments kind of make us as athletes and competitors kind of black out, and you get some pretty raw emotion. So I'm excited for those opportunities coming up.
I didn't pick you to win the Central. I don't think anybody did. I thought there was too much change there. I thought trading Corbin Burns. I thought losing a pretty good manager in Craig Counsell. And I thought you guys were just going to be an okay team, probably 500-ish. So I think there's probably plenty of room on that boat. What has been, if you could boil it down to the most important aspect as to why you guys are division champions and going to be the 3 seed going into the playoffs, what is it?
Yep. Yeah, I think we've had basically 3 guys stabilize the starting rotation. Obviously, everybody knows about Freddie Peralta and the type of stuff that he has, but we've had a couple other guys, make pretty much every single start. I think we've ended up using 15, 16, 17 starting pitchers. So obviously, this organization's depth is something that's been leaned on throughout the whole season. And guys have been ready, and I think that's a testament, obviously, to the great people down in the minor leagues getting guys ready to be ready once they're here and step into a role that we're trying to win today. And that's been Murph's mantra the whole night, is that we're trying to win tonight. So I think those guys in the starting rotation really were kind of unsung heroes. And then we also just have a really fun, really talented, energetic group of young position players that seemingly every night, one or multiple of them are doing something on the field where you're just like, whoa, that's a good play. That's a really athletic play. That's a really nice baseball play. So, those guys in the starting rotation, although we've used a ton, there's 3 or 4 guys that seemingly made every start for us. And that's really, really helpful over the long haul of a season. So, unsung heroes. That's kind of the Milwaukee Brewers in a nutshell. But here we are again atop the Central, and we're excited for what's to come.
Temperature's getting colder, but you know what? You can still bust out those T-shirts. And I'm not talking about the ones that are they feel like they're all starchy all the time. They're stiff and they look horrible on you. I've got the answer. True Classic tees. I love how comfortable and soft they are. Michelle always, when she's putting them back in my closet, she's like, that T-shirt is the best. Can you get a few more of those? And so I'm like, yeah. And if she thinks I look great in them, I'm going to get 1 billion of them. They are designed to bring out your best features. True Classic shirts are tailored for a perfect fit. They're snug around the arms and chest, just the right amount of room in the midsection for guys like me that have that dad bod spilling over. True Classic, they sell premium products at an affordable price. You can get their best-selling T-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. True Classic's activewear, it becomes essential for workouts and vacations alike. Their activewear crew necks, they offer moisture-wicking, quick-dry, odor control. You pair them with their super soft, stretchy joggers for all-day comfort, and you're good to go. And right now, you can unlock big savings when you bundle items site-wide. So just go to our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/rose to save. That is trueclassic.com/rose. Shop now. Elevate your wardrobe today. When did you know Jackson Chourio was special?
Obviously you can see it throughout, his time, any time on a baseball field. He's a sneaky big kid, for being 20 years old, put together, strong. I think it was, I'm pretty sure this was the first series post All-Star break. Kind of struggled a little bit in the first half. Started to put it together as we approached the All-Star break. We came back. We're facing Minnesota. And he hits a ball 460, 470 feet, top of the strike zone, 99 miles an hour. And did it no problem. Just ho-hum, it seemed like, up there. And I think I remember turning to somebody in the dugout and being like, okay, this is what people are talking about. Wow. And his confidence just continued to grow. He's really leaned on Willie Adames and William Contreras and Freddie Peralta, and just trying to figure out what the big leagues are like. But started to work every single day with those guys, found himself a routine that got him ready to play. And you kind of just see him start to gain confidence in the box. He started like laughing at takes or laughing at called strikes. I'm like, okay, this guy is getting more and more comfortable every day. So, yeah, probably that homer in Minnesota just really opened my eyes to like, wow, this kid basically can do anything on the field. I think he ended up making a play going over the wall in left field too to end a game or late in the game. And it's like, well, we got to kind of see everything this guy can do on the field today. I think it's going to be pretty good for a long time.
Oh, to be 20, huh?
Right? Yeah. I always think back, Rosie, like I wouldn't be anywhere near ready to take on all of what the big leagues throws at you at 20 years old. Like I needed the time in college to go mess up and make mistakes and get yelled at and learn really just like what it was like to be a man, be a human before taking on, the big leagues and the bright lights. So it's impressive to watch.
When did you think that you could make the big leagues?
I think in college, I went to the Cape Cod League, went to a smaller school, wasn't exposed to like a ton of the top competition around the country. But I went to the Cape Cod League and was a standout player there. Kind of surprised myself, to be completely honest with you. But I was like, okay, if I can play with these guys at this level and stand out, then I feel like if I can just continue to work at baseball full time. I didn't really do that until I got to college. That I feel like I could basically compete with anybody. And I ended up having a great junior year and got into professional baseball and dove headfirst into what could I do to become a big leaguer. And ended up getting there a couple years later. But I think that summer in the Cape kind of gave me the confidence that, hey, maybe this is something that I can make a dream out of.
Did you love the minor leagues? I've talked to some guys who absolutely they're like Bull Durham. That's a perfect script. It was an amazing time. Like the grind is so hard, but I loved every bit of it. Like, can you give us like one morsel, one story that kind of encapsulates your time in the minor leagues?
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I did like the minor leagues because I think you kind of got to go through some of that to appreciate some of the underlying, just underlying mottos that baseball can bring for you. I can remember spending a full off day on a bus, which, I don't know, I don't know if that's an off day, but my first professional full season, I was in Lakewood, and we had, which is top of the league in New Jersey, northernmost team in that Sally League, which I don't even know if is a league anymore. But we were playing in Rome, Georgia, and played a played a day game there, and hopped on a bus right after the game, 16 hours to Lakewood. Of course, we break down in the middle of the night. Have to wait for parts to come, have to wait for a new bus driver. I remember the next morning, we finally, got to start on our journey to finish that 16 hours, spent the full day, sun up to sundown on the bus, and went to bed and played a day game the next day. So towards the end of the season, trying to get kids games in, the SpongeBob games, some of us players like to call those. But I was just like, man, that was something I never thought I would do. And here we are on the field, 12:30 the next day, ready to play. Let's go. You might as well.
Oh, my God. I'm out. I'm tapping out.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I'm going to go find something else to do. I'm good.
But all in good fun, and I think to your point, like those are the types of stories that kind of make you appreciate where I've ended up now. And I think you have to be able to learn how to play when, excuse my French, but when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I
hear you, bro. I grew up in Northern California, Sacramento area, Giants fan, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you were probably 8-ish when Barry Bonds went on that ridiculous playoff run in 2002, which ended a little shy. Did you cry your eyes out when they lost to the Halos?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, 02, 01, 02 was a tough stretch there for me as a toddler, as a kid, because the Giants lost to the Angels in the World Series. The Kings lost to the Lakers on the Robert Horry tip back shot.
By the way, shitty officiating in that series.
Well,
Just
we
want
don't
to put
have
it
to
on the
talk
record.
about that. I didn't know that at the time as a kid, but yes, I just remember Robert Horry hitting that three. But yeah, I mean, I can remember stopping everything I was doing as a kid, as a 6, 7, 8 year old, and running into the living room to watch Bonds hit. And it usually ended up in a walk because the guy was so dominant. But running in there, watching his at bat, hitting a home run, essentially celebrating with my dad, running back in to do my homework a couple innings later, same rotation. So yeah, I loved Bonds growing up. Easy to root for, obviously, with all the home runs. But those Giants teams were fun to watch, and they ended up having some fun players over the years.
Hell yeah. Well, then you're in high school, I imagine, in 2010, which is when I was covering the World Series. And, they win for the first time as the San Francisco Giants. That must have been a blast, having that like right in your wheelhouse when you're a kid that's good at baseball. That must have been the time of your life, right?
Yeah, 10, and then obviously 12. I was a freshman in college. I got to go to game one with my dad, or sophomore in college. I got to go to game one with my dad, which was something that, he grew up as a Giants fan, loved Willie Mays. And to your point, like, I've never seen them in the World Series in San Francisco, or win the World Series at least. So that was like just a cool, like, he got me into baseball. I'm a fan because of my dad. He got to see his hometown team playing a World Series. Sandoval ends up hitting 3 home runs. I think Zito gets an RBI knock off of Verlander. So just like really cool for the baseball fandom. And just like a cool thing to spend that time with your dad as somebody who kind of introduced you to the game. Good time to be a Giants fan in Northern California for sure.
Hell yeah, it was 3 and 5 years. Doesn't matter if we don't make the playoffs those other 2 seasons. Just go.
That was the whole thing. Was those were even years.
Yeah, the 10,
the
12,
odd years
14,
were we
rough.
just didn't really care apparently, and that was okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I said, we'll play for it every other year. Let me kiss that commissioner's trophy. I'm good with it. So when you had your first at bat in San Francisco, how surreal a moment was it? Did you have to like take a second outside of the batter's box and be like, damn, I made it?
100%. Yeah. And it was my first road trip in the big leagues. I played in San Diego first and then got to play a weekend series in San Francisco. And I think the Sunday game was Posey catching, Bumgarner on the mound, Crawford at short, Belt at first. It's like, man, like these are legends to young high school Rhys, like, and here I am getting to say what's up to him as I try to figure out how to hit Bumgarner. So certainly surreal. Like, those are things that I'll always remember. I love going back there to play too. I always do. I think it's just a cool thing to be on the dirt instead of in the stands, because I've spent a ton of time in the stands there.
Woo-wee! After 162 games, it's finally time for some October baseball. Get in on the playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook. From same-game parlays to live betting to odds boosts and so much more, DraftKings has you covered until a champ is crowned. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets when you use promo code ROSE. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime homers on DraftKings. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and new customers use promo code ROSE and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ROSE only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
How cognizant are you when you're playing first base of keeping an eye on like who the young guys are on the other team? Like, this might be their first moment in the show, like it was for you, and you're almost like the welcoming committee for the pinnacle of their life if they get their first knock or something. Do you have one of those stories?
I don't know if like a specific story, but I try to be friendly over there. To be honest with you, like I don't mind a conversation in between pitches. That's gotten a little bit harder with the pitch clock. Um, but I can remember some guys, especially being in Philly, like, oh, I'm from the area. Like, what your run this the last couple of years has been super cool to watch. Like, I came to this place as a 7, 8-year-old, and it's just cool to see the way it is now. But I always try to welcome to the club. They can't take that away from you now. Because we're all kind of in the same boat. We're trying to do the same thing. Obviously, we're competing against each other, trying to beat each other, but there's a mutual respect for anybody that wears a jersey and a hat. So I think those are always cool moments. I can remember just like taking a huge deep breath, getting the monkey off my back. So it's cool to see those types of moments for some guys, and they just get to kind of go play after that.
Yeah, because you started, I think, your career 0 for 12. Is that right?
0 for too many, yeah.
0 for too many.
But
you're not.
I think it was 0 for 12. It ended up working out. Got the first one, and as they say, the floodgates opened. But long 12 at bats.
I'm sure. Well, heck, I talked to Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs a few weeks ago. He took an 0 for 14 into the offseason, bro.
That's the only thing I would be thinking about. Obviously, it's worked out okay for him. He's had a heck of a year this year. But I can imagine that provides a little bit more fuel for your fire as you go into your off season.
Who are the best first basemen at welcoming you? Like, who are the guys that you just love? You're like, hey, so good to see you. Either he gets a hit or you get a knock, and it's just because you got your own little fraternity over there.
For sure, yeah. Growing up playing in the National League East, like anytime I get to say hello to Freddie, obviously a super friendly guy over there, but I'm always asking him about, hey, what are you thinking at the plate? Like, teach me, like tell me your secrets, basically. Freddie's up there. Christian Walker's another guy that I've kind of had some back and forth with over our time in the big leagues. I've played with Carlos Santana. Obviously, Harp now over there at first is a different experience.
Why is it different?
Well, just because every time I saw him on first base, it just was never reciprocated, right? Like, he was always out in the outfield. So now him being there, just get to talk more, hopefully, because I'm on base. But I get to ask him how it's going about, learning the position. Being obviously away from the Phillies now, just getting to catch up on certain those types of things. So, those couple guys are probably who comes to my head first.
With Bryce, Plouffe and I talk about this all the time, that you can put him up there with, in our opinion, LeBron and Tiger Woods, who are guys that have been in the sports lexicon since they were teenagers, before they could drive, and have lived it out, right? I mean, he has done it as a 2-time MVP, as the face of the sport. What is it that, I don't know if surprised is the right word, but you appreciated most about seeing him on a daily basis?
I think just like the fire that this guy plays the game with between the lines every single day. What seemingly feels random at times almost, but this is just kind of the way he goes about competing. A certain switch gets flipped on and he doesn't want to lose. And you can kind of see it when it happens. He just kind of decides, which is amazing. Speaks to his superstardom. It's just, I don't know, it just seems different. Obviously, I think it's a huge part of why he's been as successful as he has. He holds himself to a standard that a lot of us can't really fathom. But he just continues. He's 12 years in, and seemingly is playing the same way he did as as a 20-year-old, hair on fire, running into walls, jumping over camera wells, because he loves the game and he loves winning. Absolutely loves winning.
On the opposite end of that spectrum is Nick Castellanos, whom I've had on this show a bunch of times. Were there times where you would just listen to him in the postgame, media scrum and you'd be like, yo, dude, where is your head at?
Yes.
You're on a different planet.
Yes, all the time. I always joked with Nick that his favorite question was why? But why? Give me a reason. We weren't locker mates, but he was a couple lockers down, so I got to spend and listen. Did a lot of listening to Nick a lot. But hey, that makes him who he is too, like he's somebody that needs a clear head. And I think that genuineness that he brings, although different, which is, I think, fair and fine, kind of makes him who he is and allows him to do the really cool things that he's been doing for a long time in this game. But yeah, probably couldn't be more opposite there in terms of superstars. And isn't that the beautiful part about our game, is that it can look all sorts of different ways. You can still kind of get the same result.
Were you guys aware of the whole Castellanos hitting a home run when all this weird stuff happens? Or is that just a little fanboy thing that happens on social media?
I think later on, as it continued to happen, I think early on, I wasn't so tuned into that, just because you're kind of in it when you're in the season. But it's still going on. So at some point you kind of have to acknowledge that. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for like weird coincidental things like that you kind of can't stop looking at. I'm going to continue to follow it though. Now I feel like you kind of have to.
How much are you paying attention to what the Mets are going through this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Rosie, I'm a fan. Like, I follow this game. I watch the highlights when I can. Like, I like to know what's going on in the league, who's hot, who feels good about themselves, what teams maybe we can catch while they're not feeling well. I feel for the Mets for sure. Like and the Braves really, although they don't have to travel as much. But, having to play a doubleheader to potentially put you in to the playoffs and then have to travel and play the next day, although that's not so different from what we do every single day in this game. Obviously, the stakes are just so much higher, and you would like, obviously, to be put in a position where the playing field is level as much as it can be. Stinks, but I don't really know what else you can't really do anything about it, like you got to play the hand that you're dealt, and hopefully the adversity can be turned into a little bit of momentum. Obviously we as the Brewers don't hope that. We're going to have a hand in that, which we'd like, I think, this weekend, but you got to play the hand you're dealt and see what you can do with it.
Well, for you guys, it's really interesting because you're locked into the 3 seed, so you're going to be hosting the 6 seed, whomever that is, next Tuesday, supposedly. But you guys can't have a huge hand in this. Still, you're trying to balance who's pitching when, who's going to be ready. Like, these games don't matter to you guys.
Yeah.
But now, do they a little bit more because you can have an effect on the playoffs or not?
I think first and foremost, we have to go about this weekend to put ourselves in the best position to be prepared to play whoever we're playing. So yes, of course, we're trying to win every time we step on the field. We're competitive. We don't like to lose. But I think you kind of you can go down a slippery slope a little bit of, maybe we'd rather play them, or we should try to set it up so we can play the other team. Like,
that gets dangerous.
Baseball guys don't like that. I can tell you that. I think when you're focused on that type of thing, potentially the wrong thing, things can get a little out of whack. All of a sudden, it's the playoffs. We haven't played great baseball for a couple of days, and you find yourself maybe behind the eight ball. So we're definitely going to be trying to win this weekend, 100%. But I think first and foremost, we got to make sure we're prepared to play on Tuesday.
What would a World Series mean to that city? Because they haven't been in one since 1982, and they haven't won one ever.
I think you just said it, right? Like ever. I think it'd be hard to imagine even what that would be like for this city, having never been there. I get to listen to Yelly talk a lot, especially now going through his rehab. And he and Wade was there as well, Wade Miley, just like talk a lot about 2018 and the run that they went on, and kind of how similar some of these our teams are now, and nobody really had us back then, but there we were in the CS with a chance to go to the World Series, and just like what the stadium was like, and they remember it being so much louder than they had ever had heard because of the roof, and it's a dome and potentially snowing outside, but here we are in the stadium, grinding away, sweating away, trying to get to the World Series. So, I can imagine that this town would not know what to do with itself. I think a lot of probably cool promotions at bars would be happening, and hopefully we'd get to take advantage of some of those. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the city embrace this run that we're hopefully going to go on, and see what type of memories that we can make.
I love it. Before I let you go, and I really appreciate your time here on a game day, how thankful are you that you are playing in the same time as Shohei Ohtani?
Thankful. Yeah. I mean, a unicorn, right? Like that's what people say about him. There's not anybody out there like him. Honestly, it makes me wonder what would happen if he only pitched in the same way that we're getting to see him only hit. As a hitter, I don't want that, but it definitely makes me curious. But I think what's cool to watch him from afar is that, like, he's just having fun out there, right? Like, he's obviously this immensely talented, athletic baseball player that's doing crazy, crazy things. But like watching this series against the Padres, where kind of each team had a chance to maybe clinch their division, and he's coming up in these big moments and showing all this emotion, getting the boys hyped up, laughing at first base, laughing when he gets to second, like just smiling. So I think there's like really, really cool lessons there, although immensely talented. If you don't try to have fun in this game, it might beat you down. But my gosh, is this guy really good at what he does, and seemingly only getting better. So,
do you think he could be the best pitcher if he's strictly focused on pitching? Is he that good?
I mean, why not? Like I probably would not have said that about him as a hitter before this year, and here we are. He's having arguably one of the best offensive seasons ever as a DH, which is even more impressive. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why not, really, which is scary.
Have you talked to him at first base? I mean, he doesn't hit a lot of singles.
No, he doesn't.
He's either trotting or if he is on first base, he's not staying there very long.
Not long. Yeah, I have a little bit. Just like little banter here and there. Hey, did you just miss that home run that you hit 120 miles an hour? Or, I've been blessed to play with some pretty good catchers, especially catch and throw. So a couple times I'll just try to egg him on. Hey, you gonna go on this pitch, or you should probably go. Like let's see what we got. I know the guy back there wants to try to throw you out. Those are all good fun. It usually does go too, which when I do say that to guys, they're like, no, not right now.
Yeah. So I'll finish it with this since you brought him up. JT Realmuto, one of those great throw and catch guys. When you went there this year, you hit the homer, obviously, but then on the knock, he got you out at home. He tapped you and gave you the pat on the butt. Did you tell him, hey, in the old days, I would have run you over?
I should have for sure. An absolute dot from Rojas there, not really giving me anywhere to slide. Yeah, the homer was great. Honestly, what might be better was I got a stolen base off of JT, and made sure to remind him the next time I went up to the plate that that's something that I'll always have on him, especially because I've seen many try and many not succeed. So, yeah, good fun there. Kind of some baseball poetry. I kind of got to laugh in his face, and he got to laugh in mine. Looking forward to many, many battles in the future for sure.
Technically, you're up on this. If I'm counting correct, you're up 2-1 on the scoreboard between the homer and the stolen base and getting thrown out at home.
I'll take it.
So you're up.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's nice to go out on top, at least for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can own that for an entire – and hey, by the way, if you see him in the second round, who knows?
I probably won't be stealing in the playoffs, but that's the beauty of it all is that people don't expect me to go, and people are like, whoa, what's this guy doing?
I don't want you giving away all of your trade secrets.
Okay, fair.
If you want us to, we'll edit that part out just in case the Phillies are scouting or whomever you play.
No, that's okay. They got to see it for 5-6 years too, a little sneak attack.
By the way, have you let your mind go there? That I know you're going to be focused on whomever the 6th seed is, but have you allowed yourself to go there with the possibility of facing Philly in the playoffs?
Only a little bit. Yeah, only a little bit. I'm human, especially because we just played them, right? Like we got to clinch against them. And a lot of the conversations you have with guys as you're kind of wrapping up that series are, hey, I hope we see you again. Like that means good things are happening for both our teams, and that'll be good fun, good competition. So only a little bit, only because to your point, right, we have 3 really big games before that we're going to have to navigate and succeed in to get there. But I think it's only natural that, yeah, that would just be a lot of fun personally, and really cool for our team to kind of go experience that in the playoffs.
If it's game 1 of the divisional round, Milwaukee at Philly, and they announce your name over the loudspeaker, now hitting Rhys Hoskins, do we get cheers or boos?
I mean, it's got to be boos because that's who they are, and I'm an opponent, especially in the playoffs. I've seen the announcement skit that the fans run there, and it's great. It's loud, and it's a little bit intimidating. I can see. So I would guess boos because it's only about the Phillies winning at that point. I got some great cheers while I was there, some mixture of boos and cheers on the home run, but something tells me that fan base will be all Phils all the time.
I love this. By the way, this is one of my favorite moments of the year. Damn, I would have been crying if that was me. I wouldn't be able to hit.
I was definitely tearing up. Yeah, it was. Yeah, this is memorable stuff. Like this is the type of story I'll be telling for a long time. Just about being on that field and experiencing that in front of that fan base and that stadium with the people that were on the field at that time. Just the whole thing really is some, like I said, it's good baseball poetry.
By the way, clicking one of baseball's best ain't bad either.
Also that nice guy to have in your book. And I had spent years and years and years telling Wheels how nasty he is. Faced him way too many times with the Mets with not a ton of success. So, yeah, that's a nice notch on the belt for sure.
Rhys, this was a blast. I really appreciate the time. I know that, with the season winding down, it's been a long, long run, and I get it. You want your breather, you want your own time, but I know the people really appreciate you telling some stories and your honesty and taking us through your emotional, whirling dervish as this goes through another long season. But thank you very much. Best of luck to you and the Brewers in the playoffs. It's going to be a fun time, I know.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Like I said, I really enjoy the show. I've been watching for a long time. It's cool to be on it. Hopefully not the last. And yeah, go Crew. Time to make some noise in this playoff run and see where we end up.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Shout out to our one-of-a-kind producer, Robbie Scirocco, the best in the biz, for Rhys Hoskins of your Milwaukee Brewers. I am Chris Rose. We'll see you next time here on the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media.